The rain outside was a steady drum, a relentless, ordinary sound that mocked the extraordinary chaos thundering in her veins. This little cabin, tucked away from the world, was supposed to be a sanctuary. For walls, a wood-burning stove, the simple, predictable rhythm of Bruce's life, studying, tinkering, existing peacefully. It was a beautiful lie they had built, a deliberate retreat from the noise of saving the world. But right now, the quiet was the loudest thing she'd ever heard. It was screaming the secret. She stood by the window, the mug of cooling tea forgotten in her hands. The glass was misted, mirroring the cloud in her own mind. She was the Black Widow, the ultimate operative, trained to survive, to execute, to compartmentalize every feeling until it was a cold, useful tool. She had faced armies of aliens, gods, and impossible odds. Yet, the small, unassuming object hidden beneath the edge of the kitchen counter felt heavier than Thor's hammer. It was a testament to one impossible night, one moment of forgetting who and what they were, and the terrifying, biological consequence of their forbidden closeness. Consequence. That was the word the Red Room used. Weakness. Flaw. They had cut the possibility of this life from her like a tumor, ensuring the weapon remained sterile, unburdened by the softer needs of a future. She had grieved that loss in silence, accepted her fate as a ghost doomed to haunt the battlefield. She was incapable of bearing a child. It was a fact, a scientific, irrevocable fact. Except, apparently, the laws of biology, like the laws of physics, tended to bend violently around Bruce Banner. She closed her eyes, breathing deep. The scent of pine and Bruce's old sweatshirt, a scent she clung to, a scent that meant safety, did nothing to calm the shaking in her core. How could she tell him? How do you tell the man who has spent his entire existence terrified of the potential for destruction contained within his own DNA that he has just created the ultimate biological variable? A new life, but also, potentially, a new, uncontrollable force that would make the Hulk look like a house cat. She played the scenario in her head for the 100th time. The gentle conversation. The scientific approach. Bruce, darling, I need you to analyze this unusual test result. Too clinical. The emotional confession. Bruce, I know you're terrified of your power, but you've given me the one thing I thought I'd lost forever. Too manipulative. The blunt, horrifying truth. I'm pregnant, and it's yours. That felt the most honest, and the most likely to send him spiraling back into the shadows of the green guy. She glanced toward the living room. Bruce was there, just sitting, reading, the perfect picture of domesticity. His forehead was furrowed, not with gamma-fueled rage, but with the effort of understanding a dense paper on particle acceleration. His glasses perched precariously on his nose. He looked so vulnerable, so Bruce. The contrast between the brilliant, gentle man on the sofa and the monster lurking beneath his skin was a duality she loved, and a duality she now realized she might be forcing onto an innocent, unborn life. Her mind conjured terrifying images. A crib being smashed by a tiny, green fist. A baby whose cry registered 150 decibels. The sheer logistics of keeping a gamma-infused infant hidden from the world's governments, from Hydra remnants, from the Avengers themselves. The secret would be a living entity, consuming their peace, their privacy, their very future. They had run to this cabin for anonymity. They had found the exact opposite, an irreversible, biological anchor to a life that could never truly be normal. A sudden, sharp nausea rolled over her. It wasn't just fear. It was the physical reality of the change happening within her. The tiny, persistent reminder that she was no longer just Natasha Romanoff. She was a vessel, a reluctant mother to a legacy of impossible power. She reached up, her hand brushing against the scar on her abdomen, the faint, nearly invisible mark left by the Red Room's surgical cruelty. It was a useless scar now, a lie in the history of her body. And in that moment, a profound, confusing mix of rage and exhilaration coursed through her. Rage at the violation of her control, and exhilaration at the sheer, miraculous defiance of it all. She straightened her shoulders. The spy instinct kicked in. A mission. This was a mission unlike any other. The stakes, higher than the destruction of the universe, because the stakes were personal. She had to protect this secret. She had to manage Bruce's reaction. She had to control the narrative. She was the one with the plan. Boys. She took a decisive step toward the living room, the floorboards creaking slightly beneath her boots, a sound that, in the tense silence, felt like thunder. Bruce looked up, his glasses slipping. He didn't smile. He just looked at her, his eyes asking the silent, eternal question. Is the trouble finally over? She knew the answer. The trouble was just beginning. Her throat felt dry, her heart hammering a rhythm against her ribs that was less a beat and more an alarm bell. She stopped just shy of the archway, her shadow falling across the sofa where he sat. The air crackled with unsaid words, with fear, with possibility. She opened her mouth, the name Bruce forming on her tongue, but what came out was a sound she barely recognized, a soft, broken confession wrapped in an assassin's calm facade. I can't. She simply couldn't start the sentence. The weight of the world, and the weight of that tiny life, kept the words locked away. He stood frozen in the archway. The word "I can't" was not a statement of inability to speak, it was the raw scream of the soul, incapable of handling the truth. Bruce, the scientist, the genius, didn't need the words. He read her hesitation, the terror in her posture, the rigid set of her jaw. His mind, already working at impossible speed, began to process the environmental cues, her sudden aversion to the smell of his lab cleaner, the unprecedented morning sickness she'd been disguising as a flu. Bruce pushed his glasses up, then took them off, letting them fall onto the sofa cushion. He didn't move. He just stared. Not at her, but through her, into the vast, unknowable future. The color had drained from his face, replaced by a deep, terrifying gray. This wasn't Hulk rage. This was Bruce Banner's deepest fear realizing itself. The fear of contagion. The fear of passing on the curse. Natasha, his voice was barely a whisper, strained and raw. Tell me, right now. You know I need you to be precise. She finally moved, gliding forward, her movements controlled, the trained operative asserting itself over the terrified woman. She sat beside him, their knees almost touching, the distance between them feeling like a chasm. She reached into her pocket, pulling out the small, white stick, and laid it gently on the coffee table between them. Next to it, she placed a faded ultrasound photo, a tiny, blurry smudge, but undeniably a life. He didn't touch the photo. His eyes remained fixed on the stick, the two pink lines of verdict written in cruel certainty. But the Red Room, they told you it was impossible. Irreversible. His voice cracked on the last word. His hands, huge and powerful, began to tremble uncontrollably, a tremor that threatened to unleash the hidden monster. They lied, Natasha said, her voice low, brittle, but absolute. Or maybe they didn't factor in the other half of the equation, Bruce. They didn't factor in the gamma. It overcame their science. Your side, your strength, it won. She watched the agonizing calculation in his eyes. The genius was computing the genetic risks, the social fallout, the sheer danger to this unborn life. He was seeing the destruction the Hulk had wrought, and now he was imagining that destruction amplified, bottled inside an innocent child. The terror was overwhelming him. A monster, he choked out, his head falling into his hands. I've created another one. Only this time, it's not just me. It's a family curse. I won't do this to you. Or to them. Natasha reached out, not hesitating. She gripped his massive hand, forcing him to look up. Her eyes, usually pools of cold determination, were burning with a desperate, fierce love. Stop. Listen to me, Bruce Banner. You did not create a monster. You created a miracle. And you did it with me. My past, my training, my lack of a childhood, it ends here. With this. She tapped the ultrasound photo sharply. We are not defined by the worst things we've done or the curses we carry. We are defined by what we protect. We fought Thanos for the world. Now we fight the world for this baby. Her voice rose, ringing with the authority of the Black Widow commanding an operation. Will it be hard? Will it be terrifying? Absolutely. But Bruce, look at me. This is the one thing no one can take from us. Not the Red Room, not the governments, not even the Hulk. This is ours. And if that child has a little gamma in their blood, they also have the best of you. The genius. The kindness. The heart that worries about breaking a teacup. Bruce's eyes, wet and wide with shock, searched hers. The green spark, the momentary threat of the Hulk, finally receded, replaced by the profound, exhausted clarity of the man who loved her. He slowly reached out, his huge, trembling finger tracing the edge of the blurry image. A baby, he whispered again, the word no longer laced with terror, but with impossible wonder. A Banner Romanoff. Avenger. A tiny, hesitant smile touched his lips, a flash of warmth in the cabin's oppressive tension. He looked at Natasha, and in his eyes, she saw not the fear of the monster, but the devotion of the protector. The decision was made. The secret was out. The life they had sought in isolation was about to become the most complicated, dangerous, and beautiful mission they had ever embarked upon. Bruce gently pulled her into an embrace, a hug that was both massive and infinitely careful. The silence returned, but this time, it wasn't the silence of a lie. It was the silence of two heroes, united by an impossible secret, preparing for the greatest fight and the greatest joy of their lives. The fear was still there, heavy and real, but now, it was tempered by an unshakable, mutual devotion to the impossible life growing between them. And in that quiet cabin, the Black Widow and the Incredible Hulk began to understand that their biggest battle was not against the world, but for the right to build a family. The impossible family. The greatest secret was now their greatest strength.